this is some crazy stuff. So the individual that you see there before you is an OnlyFans model who has been charged with second-degree murder because, get this, a kinky fetish scene gone wrong with one of her subscribers resulted in said subscriber's death.
Wow.
So this is a wild situation. This woman is being held, I believe, without bond. She's
Damn.
obviously, yeah, I believe so, but I'm gonna read this just to make sure that that's
For
accurate.
sure. For sure. For
Yeah,
sure.
and yeah, she's obviously, she's espousing her lack of guilt in this situation. But this is a wild bit of a situation here. So this says OnlyFans model charged with murder after subscriber suffocates during fetish filming. A series of odd OnlyFans subscriber requests went horribly wrong after a model on the platform recently received a murder charge, according to an arrest warrant affidavit reportedly obtained by Hollywood Unlocked. 31-year-old Michaela Brichet Rylarston allegedly received $11,000 in payment from 56-year-old subscriber Michael Dale in April of 2023 to engage in various sexual acts and kinks. Rylarston was 29 at the time. She then went to his Escondido home to perform BDSM acts like bondage, sadism, and more after a month of communication.
Damn.
Dale reportedly found Rylarston's page via an escort service website ad. So this dude paid $11,000 and then after a month finally had this stuff arranged.
Wow.
That's interesting. Furthermore, the OnlyFans model reportedly arrived at Dale's home at around 6 p.m. local time after various text messages and phone calls and was with him for several hours despite his immediately apparent intoxication. According to police, his requests were bizarre. They allegedly included using saran wrap to make him like a to wrap him to make him like a mummy, gluing women's boots to his feet, sealing his eyes shut with adhesive, and more. However, law enforcement noted no evidence that Dale ever requested Rylarston to place a bag over his head and secure it, which eventually, which eventually
My bad.
caused him to suffocate and expire.
Damn.
Afterwards, police and fire respondents arrived at Dale's home and found Michaela Brichet Rylarston performing CPR on his unconscious body. She reportedly denies the notion that she put something over his head and expressed that this was the first time she engaged in something like this. After detectives found worrisome videos on Rylarston's cell phone, she claimed to have recorded these acts for her OnlyFans page. Per the Daily Mail, she reportedly runs this account along with her husband, Brandon, with whom she shares 3 children. Meanwhile, not much other than information became publicly available about Michaela Brichet Rylarston as a result of this situation, other than her San Bernardino County residency. Police said that a plastic bag sealed over Dale's head for 8 minutes after the San Diego County Medical Examiner's Office's conclusion that he died of homicidal asphyxia. Escondido police arrested Rylarston on February 19th on second-degree murder charges. Following a not guilty plea, she remains behind bars with no opportunity for bond. So yeah, no
Wow.
bond. And so these are pics of this woman here, Michaela Rylarston. Uh, just to give you an idea, I'm guessing this gentleman here is her husband. Yeah,
Hmm.
it is.
Hmm.
And there are their 3 kids there, and here's what we got going on here. So no need to play those clips. They don't really amount to much with respect to this situation. So what do you think about this wild situation here, man? Kinky fetish filming scene with OnlyFans chick gone wrong.
I mean, honestly, I don't know how she thought putting a bag over his head for 8 minutes. Like, I don't understand how she didn't think that would be deadly. Um, Listen, man, when you're dealing with these kinks, now unfortunately, you know, I've heard of situations, where people passed away. Um, trying to self-grandize and hooking themselves up with electrobes, doing other things, and things went wrong, and it's like that's a hell of a way to go out too, by the way,
It really is.
you know what I'm saying? Like Steve from finances, like, yeah, man, he just put a battery on his balls and he shot himself to death. You know what I'm saying? That's a hell of a way for everybody to know what you was into. And so this guy here, man, this is, I guess it's just an evolution of those types of things that you kind of hear about on some weird stuff where, the guy was into a kink, man, and I guess her only leverage in this situation is to say that, he may not have texted that he wanted a bag over his head, but in the heat of the moment he asked for it. And I don't know what else to say. But yeah, man, I used to work for a content a content platform, and part of my job was monitoring the content. And any fetish you can think of, dude, people are into that wild stuff, dude.
Amazing.
I mean, and yes, so it is an actual thing that people like being wrapped up in saran wrap and like their whole body, and you just poke a hole where their mouth is. Sometimes you leave their nose sealed. And then it's a whole thing. And so my job was to sit there and monitor regular videos, and when those wild things came through, I had to handle it. But these things are bigger than you think, unfortunately. So there's a lot of people into this wild stuff. This guy paid 11 bands to get unalived.
Crazy.
I mean, this is outrageous stuff, man. So a 56-year-old man, and this is another thing too, bro, because whenever we talk about OF, bro, we pretty much, at least me, I'm always dealing with millennials and slightly Gen Xers and stuff, but it's boomers too, man. It's boomers too out there on that paying for booty. And so
11,000.
Bro, it's this lady, my old lady was watching some reality show, or some lady from, what was it, 90210 or something like that. I don't know that lady's name, but she's an older woman, a little real crusty looking, but she was bad back in the day, I guess. But she got an OnlyFans page, and so did her daughter or whatever. And I'm like, who's paying for her OnlyFans? Who wants to see that crusty ass? But there's guys in their 50s, 60s, and stuff like that was lusting over her when she was on 90210, and they paying for her OnlyFans thing. So this guy here, even though this young lady's young, it was a 56-year-old man paying to get his kinks off. So yeah, man, it runs the gambit out here when it comes to people with their weird fetishes, man. Honestly, bruh, I think that this is probably made for TV type stuff. You're going to see something like this on some type of thing getting played out and re-dramatized, bro, because you don't get no wilder than this. And it actually have a twist of mystery to it because, well, did she actually do this on purpose, or was this actually an accident? So this got Hollywood written all over it, bro. But what are your thoughts, man, on the OnlyFans air quote model out here accidentally unaliving a client by suffocating them?
This does have Lifetime movie written all over it.
This got stuff written
yeah,
over it.
I can 100% see years down the line them making a movie out of this and putting it on Lifetime. This is a Lifetime. This is a Lifetime movie, straight up.
Mhm.
Also, bro, if people are paying to look at Lunel on OnlyFans,
That's that.
they'll pay to look at some chick who used to be bad on 90210.
Hey, shout out to Lunel, man. Out there busting it wide open. That's crazy.
So if they paying for if they paying to see Lunel on OnlyFans in that bathtub, I think what Kaya called her esophagus or whatever she called her. Then there's people. There's gonna be people paying for that 90210 booty too.
That's true.
As crusty as it may be.
That's true, bro. That's true.
Remember the old TV show Kung Fu?
Yeah, yeah, actually,
So
yeah.
so the guy who was the star of Kung Fu, David Carradine,
Hmm.
he died in the same like what you just described. That's what happened to him.
No
He was
way.
he was filming a movie in, and I'm not making this up, Bangkok.
Come on, bro. I can't.
And
I
you know,
can't. No, no, no. I
I'm not making that. I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to laugh, but I'm not making that up. I promise you, I'm not making this up. He was filming a movie in Bangkok, and he was
Come on,
trying to
bro.
get into one of his kinks, and he, hung himself from something in the ceiling and ended up dying of asphyxia. That's how he died. And it was like a kink fetish type deal gone wrong.
What's his
That's
name
what
again?
David Carradine. That's the guy who was on Kung Fu, David
Yeah.
Carradine. That's what happened to him. So, that's a real life example of exactly what it is that you're describing, bro. You reading it? I'm,
Yeah, bro.
I'm telling you,
Wow.
yeah, dog, yeah. So it's, bro. Honestly, we discuss OnlyFans here, and I have my thoughts on OnlyFans. I don't really care for it. I'm not a fan. I don't like what it represents in terms of the proliferation of the modern sexual marketplace, all of that good stuff, blah 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 blah. So I don't need to go down that particular path. But what I will say, and here's the thing for me, because this is a proclivity, right? This is
Mhm.
a kinky thing gone wrong. So I'm not gonna sit up here and blame OnlyFans for that.
Oh,
There, people have had kinks since the beginning of time. There's been sexual kinks and proclivities, and people have indulged in those. That's nothing new. That's been going on for a very, 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 very long time. OnlyFans didn't create this. However,
yeah. Hmm.
I do believe, and I've said this before,
Hmm.
uh, sex working is being aggressively mainstreamed. The sexual marketplace as something that is redeemable, not lacking in an absence of morality, is something that is being aggressively mainstreamed. Therefore, the utilization of things like OnlyFans is being aggressively mainstreamed.
Yes, yes.
You know what I'm saying? So when you have something like this being aggressively mainstream, you're creating an environment in which you open up the door and make it a lot more easy and accessible for people to engage and indulge in their kinks and their fetishes. So now we have a proliferation of sexual deviancy. Sexual deviancy has always been a thing.
Hmm.
Sexual deviancy didn't start with OnlyFans. It didn't start with Instagram models. It didn't start with flying chicks out. All of this stuff that we talk about, sexual deviancy wasn't created by that stuff,
Hmm.
but that stuff is exacerbating sexual deviancy
Yeah, yes.
exponentially.
Agreed.
It's
Yes.
it's exacerbating sexual deviancy exponentially.
Yes, it is.
So as this stuff becomes more aggressively mainstream,
Yes,
with
you're, yeah.
with the internet saying it's okay to do this, it's cool, everyone does it. With
Yes.
your feed saying it's okay to do this, everyone does it. With your bank account saying you have enough money to spend on it, it's cool, everyone does it. You know what I'm saying? You're listening to people who are your favorite influencers and podcasts talking about, I subscribe, I do it too. You should do it. Everyone does it. It's all good. It's okay. So as this stuff continues to become aggressively mainstream, I believe we will see more of this happen.
No, and
Because,
I
because
agree.
there's no reason to believe, like,
Hmm.
even if you're curious about some of this stuff, there's no reason to err on the better side of judgment and not sort of allow yourself to indulge in this stuff. More and more people are just going to start doing this because it's just everyone does whatever they want. That's where we are with everyone doing everything that they want. So that's how I see this. It's not that OnlyFans created this environment, it's that OnlyFans and things like it are exponentially exacerbating the advent of it.
No.
So everything is fair game, no holds barred, free will. Everybody does whatever they want, right? And that's the kind of world that we want to live in. So this is going to be another byproduct of that. Ancillarily, it's going to be a lot more people indulging in a lot more weird, kinky kinks The only difference is we used to think of them as weird, kinky kinks. Now it's just going to be, it is just simply going to be is.
Yeah,
It's just
right.
yeah, it's just going to be what it is that people do. And there's nothing weird or kinky about it because the prevalence of it is so much so that there's no reason to think that there's anything strange or abnormal about it.
No, bro, you hit the nail on the head, and because I was gonna also mention that is that just with the proliferation, you mentioned S work, but also just with the normalization of corn, over the years, uh, once people get into that addiction, they're going to need something a little bit more spicy, in order to reach that dopamine level.
Yeah.
And so the regular stuff ain't doing it for you no
It
more.
ain't gonna cut it.
And that's the next, so then you gotta start going on a strange side of town and some of that stuff. And then what ends up happening is when those people go on a strange side of town, they get that same feeling of interest and intrigue that they initially had when they first started watching normal stuff.
Yeah.
So then they take that level of whatever as, oh, I like this. No, the sickness, and you like that. And then what ends up happening is people get further and further down that rabbit hole to the point to where they want to get tied up with whatever stuff. The wildest thing I said, I'll keep this as G-rated as possible. But the wildest thing I seen on the I seen some videos. All right. I was making fun of Young Miami earlier, bro, but I seen some porta potty stuff. I've seen that. And people, you think that the guys would be the nasty ones. The guys are the sick bastards that are into that. But then you'll see the willing participant women
Yeah.
get involved with this too. I was like, y'all are equally as sick. Now, what made you do that? It can't be for a check. But hey, I digress. One of the wildest things I've seen, man. This guy had a like a tube. He inserted it in himself, like an enema. And but he was blown. It was blowing air in his body to the point where his gut would just get enormous, and he had this like control module where he can control the flow of air. Why was I watching it that long? It was my freaking job. Oh, I had to watch that garbage. But I'm sitting there watching, and I'm like, this is outrageous. Who the hell's watching this, and who the hell's getting off on this? But the thing had crazy a number of views. Probably a lot of people just freaked out by it. But I'm sure there was people watching that. Well, there's a whole category of it where there's just people doing it. And I was like, well, how did it get this bad? And I think it's because, like I said, it's from the normalization of corn.
Mm-hmm.
And as you mentioned, with this new wave of S work, it's going to get even more deviant. And so it's going to be the average person, where they're just into some kink now. And that used to be reserved for a percentage of people. But it's going to spread over. There's more people into feet now. That used to be a reserved thing where it's like, you can like a pretty toes on a woman, but you didn't have a thing about it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because who don't like pretty toes?
Right. Yeah.
But there's people that got things about it.
Yeah.
So I'm just telling you right now, man, you're absolutely right. So these OnlyFans didn't create it. Instagram didn't create it. These corn sites didn't create it.
Mm-hmm.
But what they did was they fed the beast.
Yeah.
And then the normalization of it, the lack of shame now that goes on with all of these things and consuming it has now created a wave of madness. So honestly, when I heard the story, yes, it was wild on one hand, but on the other hand, it was like, yeah, makes sense to me.
Yep.
So yeah, man, 2025, baby. Y'all be safe. I'll say that, man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I wasn't really, I wasn't appalled. And when I say I wasn't appalled, I basically mean I was not surprised.
You're right, yeah.
Because it's, why not? Because, have there been, this stuff has been going on for a long time, and people have there's always been things gone wrong with it, accidents, where unfortunately something went wrong with the kink or the experimentation or whatever, and people got hurt. But, I think the aggressive normalization of
Yeah.
human hypersexualization. Period. You talk about this all the time. Everybody is over sexualized, and I do agree with that. I think between the entertainment that we consume and the stuff that we look at on a daily basis right in front of our faces on our phone, I already told you, bro, I cannot go onto my YouTube and I'm not searching for this stuff. They just put it on my page. I can't go onto YouTube without seeing something involving some woman, and the innuendo, the underlying undertone of the video is sexual. I can't go a minute. I can't log on to any of these apps without seeing this. I'm not searching it. Why? Who's paying to put this in front of my face? I'm not. I'm not searching for this stuff, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's and these weird too. So like, I look up a lot of gym videos,
Mhm.
workout videos.
Right,
Like
right,
I,
right.
I look up a lot of content creators who do exercises that I'm trying to get into at the gym. But it's usually men, and it's just guys doing workout stuff. 2 days later, all over my homepage on YouTube, I'm inundated with shorts of these skits involving the gym. And the skit is always some big booty chick with a pretty face with all her makeup doing something at the gym. Every time. So I feel you when you talk about people being over sexualized. And it's not just, and for anyone who is unaware of what Dogon means when he says corn, replace the C with a P. And that's what he's talking about. But
Uh,
bro, it isn't just the corn. It's
no,
everything. It's the full frontal male nudity in all the TV shows. It's
unbelievable.
it's your feeds in your Instagrams and the TikToks of everything being all of this. Even when they're trying to sell you something random, I believe the undertone is sex. Every time I'm being sold a product via an ad on my YouTube or my Instagram, and the person in the ad is always a very attractive woman, you know what I'm saying? And I can see her, like, that's not a coincidence. There's no accident there. I can just as easily get an ad with a guy talking about a product. It's a product, right? Why is it always an attractive female? There's no coincidence there. Everything being given to us, even stuff that's not sex related, is sex related. So we're all being sexualized. And because we're all being sexualized, we're being fed this stuff constantly. And we're being desensitized to it. So whenever we're encountering things like OnlyFans or subscribing to this or watching these kinds of videos, it exacerbates our curiosities. It amplifies our penchant for wanting to explore things that we otherwise wouldn't have explored if we weren't hit with so much stimuli on a daily basis.
Yep.
So yeah, none of these platforms or these apps created this stuff, but they are exacerbating it exponentially. The proliferation of the modern sexual marketplace is going to drive people into the dirt. It is reinforced by how much overstimulation to sexual messages we're being given. So yeah, man, 100%. I'm not surprised by this stuff. I think it's crazy to see that somebody paid 11 racks for this kind of stuff. I just, I mean, I don't get it, and I can't even use age as a reason because the guy is 56 years old.
Right.
So this is just purely somebody who's just into this kind of weird stuff. But yeah, we're gonna see more of it, especially as we continue as the years progress to live in this world where everything's deregulated, everything is aggressively mainstream. Hypersexualization is being aggressively mainstream.
Yeah, man. So hey, y'all be safe out there. If some of y'all dudes got them accounts and stuff, man. As we always say on here, man, get off the dope. You know what I'm saying? If you want to keep, you know what I'm saying, or if you're gonna keep going, bro, just reduce it. Now, yeah, just reduce it. I'm realistic, bro. Some cats gonna be like, hey, man, the hell with it. You ain't gonna tell me not to watch XYZ. You know what I'm saying? But if you do watch it, XYZ or whatever, greatly reduce it. Or, you know what I'm saying, one of these days you're gonna end up like David Carradine. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? With just out here wilding out, bro. Just you know what I'm saying, taking it to the max, and you don't want to be that guy. You know. So
Yeah.
yeah, be safe, y'all.
Yeah, I don't mean to laugh, man. I'm not trying to make light. I'm not trying to make light of David
No, no,
Carradine or
no,
anything or any other such tragic,
no.
accident.
Right, right,
But
right.
it's just within the context of this conversation because I can picture all of the basement dwellers getting off on all of this kink weird stuff.
Oh yeah.
And you think it's a niche thing, and it's always niche until it isn't niche
That's what
anymore.
I'm getting at, bro. Until it comes mainstream. That's what I'm saying, bro. Like, bro, 15 years from now, the stuff that we thought that was just like, hey, that's a little off the wall. When that becomes the norm, you know what I'm saying? Because there's been some stuff. All right, within the last 15 to 10 years, 5 years, that was like, man, you said that 15 years ago, both men and women would be like, the hell, I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
You ain't even in the game if you ain't doing that. You ain't even in the game, bro. She gonna look at you like you crazy. What you gonna do that? Like, come on, man. Yeah, man. The game changed, y'all. So be safe out there. Have some standards, so you don't get caught in the wind, man. Lord have mercy, man.
Hey, listen, bro. Rest in peace to David Carradine, man.
Yeah, man.
Rest in
You
peace.
know what I'm saying? That's crazy, bro.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Sheesh.